All right, today we are diving into a classic story by the legendary Munshi Premchand, but this one has a really cool twist. It's a life story, an epic one, but it's not told by some king or a famous hero. It's told by a dog. And the story just drops you right in with this question. It makes you stop and think, right? Whose stories are actually worth telling? Our narrator, a dog, promises us that his life has been way more eventful than any king's. So our narrator, a dog named Kalu, is absolutely convinced his story needs to be heard. And you know what? It doesn't begin in some fancy palace. Oh no. It starts in about the harshest place you can imagine. I mean, just picture this. Kalu's world begins in a pile of ashes, the only warm place he and his siblings can find. He's the runt, the weakest of the bunch, and he watches two of his brothers die from the cold. His poor mother is in a constant, desperate search for food, in a village that seems to only offer beatings instead of help. Yeah, this early life wasn't just shaped by hunger, it was also shaped by the just casual cruelty of the people all around him. The logic in this world is just twisted. Get this, his mother's shadow passes over a Brahmin feast, so they say the food is polluted and throw it all out. She finally gets to eat her fill from the leftovers, but what happens next? The host beats her savagely for it. It's just an unbelievable level of hypocrisy. And for the village kids, Kalu isn't even a living thing. He's more like a toy. Their games are just a series of tortures. They'd throw him in a pond over and over to see if he could swim, pull his ears until it hurt to test if he was a thief. They'd even put little kids on his weak back to ride him. His suffering was literally their entertainment. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Kalu's path splits completely from his only surviving brother, Jakia. And this divide, it all comes down to the two different homes that take them in, and it sets up this intense rivalry. And the contrast between them is just night and day. Kalu ends up with a poor pundit, surviving on scraps, which forces him to become super clever and cunning. Jakia, on the other hand, lives with a meat-eating Dafali, so he gets plenty of food, and he grows up big, strong, and aggressive. Their whole personalities are shaped by their situations. And this wasn't some friendly sibling rivalry, not at all. This was a brutal fight for survival. Jakia guarded his food source with pure brute force and would viciously attack his own brother anytime Kalu got close, driven by nothing more than hunger. But here's the thing. Despite all the hunger, all the cruelty, something amazing starts to shine through in Kalu. This unwavering, almost unbelievable loyalty to his poor but kind master. And his heroism just keeps escalating. First, he saves his master's two sons from drowning in a pond so deep that no person dared to jump in. Then, he single-handedly fights off an angry shepherd trying to burn down the family's entire sugarcane crop. And get this, after a robbery, it's Kalu who leads everyone to where the stolen stuff is hidden, in the very same pond where he used to be tormented. And through all these incredible acts, Kalu completely changes how his master sees him. The pundit's affection just deepens and transforms into this profound belief that Kalu isn't just an animal. No, he's a beloved soul, like a family member who has been reborn. So Kalu becomes a local legend, but his story is far from over. One last act of bravery in the village sends him on this totally unexpected adventure, one that takes him far, far away from the only home he's ever known. So, during a hunt, Kalu literally saves a British officer's life from a wild boar. The officer is so impressed that as a reward, he insists on taking Kalu. But think about it. For Kalu, this reward means being ripped away from the master he loves more than anything. He's suddenly thrown into this world of unbelievable comfort. We're talking fresh meat, baths with fancy soap, rides in a motor car. It's a universe away from the hunger and hardship he grew up with. He's totally pampered and adored by his new owners. But you know how these stories go. This life of luxury, it's all shattered in an instant. While on a sea voyage to England with his new masters, a massive, violent storm rolls in. And this isn't just any storm, it's ferocious. Huge waves are just hammering the ship until it groans and splinters and starts to sink into the dark, chaotic sea, throwing everyone overboard. Even in that terrifying chaos, with the world literally falling apart around him, Kalu has only one thought, his master's. He fights through the waves, finds the officer and his wife unconscious, and with this incredible strength, he starts pulling them through the storm. But their nightmare is far from over. They get captured by a hostile tribe on an island and thrown into prison. And once again, who becomes their savior? Kalu! He cleverly sneaks out at night to steal food so they don't starve. Then he leads them on this daring escape, and their whole incredible journey finally ends with a dramatic rescue by an airplane. And that brings us to the final chapter of his life. Kalu returns, but not as a simple village dog. He returns as an international hero. His fame grew so huge that people were offering just staggering amounts of money for him. This number, 100,000 rupees, was reportedly offered for Kalu, an offer his master immediately refused. At this point, Kalu was quite literally priceless. So Kalu is just showered with love and adoration. He's honored, he's photographed, some people even start to worship him like he's a god. But all this fame, it comes at a really high price. He's kept under constant guard, his every move is watched, he has everything a dog could possibly want, except for one thing, his freedom. And this brings us to Kalu's final thought, and it's a really powerful one. He realizes that the pure joy he found in being loyal, in being useful to someone he loved, that was so much greater than the empty pleasure of just being served. His life of fame became a beautiful golden cage, and it leaves us with this question that honestly applies to a lot more than just dogs. Wow, what an incredible journey, right? Kalu's story really makes you think about what happiness and loyalty are all about. If this story gave you something to chew on, make sure you like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into amazing tales like this one. Go on and hit that bell icon so you don't miss the next one. Thanks so much for hanging out.